Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. All right, I'm ready. Hey guys, my name's Connor if you're new. Hope you're all doing well. The original link to the video, top of the description, from Watch Mojo. 20 things only Americans do and that we think are normal. Let's find out. Let's go.
To Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 things only Americans do.
Get a ton of shit.
For this list, we're looking at common beliefs and practices in the United States. They don't need to be exclusively American, just something that Americans are known for. If there's something uniquely American that didn't make our list, unite in the comments to state your picks. Number 20, refer to the USA as America.
America.
Outside of the United States of America, referring to the country as America is much less commonplace.
Well, we have America in the name. Although so does South Africa, and if South Africa called themselves Africa, I would think that's a little weird. So maybe I'm wrong.
After all, there are two entire continents called America, comprising like 35 distinct nations. Referring to only one country on one of those continents as America too is really confusing for anyone who doesn't live there.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Calling it the US, USA, the United States, or just the States is much more common in the rest of the world. Even so, everyone still calls its residents Americans, which isn't confusing at all.
You can't say it, but you know it's true.
Number 19.
Honestly, I think the Africa example, I think is pretty good. I solved my own question there, I think. Because I was going to say, well, it's the only country in North or South America with America in the name. But the South Africa thing does. Okay, fair point.
Throw gender reveal parties. Cultures the world over have traditions to prepare expecting parents and celebrate the expected birth of a child.
Thank you so much for throwing me this baby shower, girls. I feel so welcome to the neighborhood.
Of course!
However, Americans have really taken the concept and run with it. An entire industry has been built around baby showers, as well as their modern relatives' gender reveal parties. Emerging in the 2000s, the latter have become infamous for sometimes absurd levels of showmanship. Some over-the-top reveals have been responsible for injuries and even disasters. They remain somewhat controversial, with many people, including Americans, not really getting why they're often made into such big deals.
I don't know why, but I'm like gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Because I'm just really happy for you.
You look like it. You look like you're happy.
Number 18, experience huge
I can't tell because her face is... All right, sorry. That was mean. I think this is a problem with like Americans taking things too far. I think it's kind of cute, you know. It's like you pop this balloon, and it's like, oh, it's a boy or a girl. Like that's fine. But I've seen like videos of like airplanes going through the sky and having blue or pink smoke out the back. That's too much. But if it's a simple little thing you want to do at a baby shower or something, are baby showers also just an American thing?
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Because I'm just really happy for you.
You look like it. You look like you're happy.
Number 18, experience huge bathroom stall gaps.
Straight this way, sir.
Oh, God.
Every country's restrooms have their own quirks, like different sinks and toilet bowls.
Hold up. That's like the cleanest school bathroom stall I've ever seen, even with all this stuff. And there's no drawings on the walls? What is this?
Every country's restrooms have their own quirks, like different sinks and toilet bowls. The US is known for having a high volume of water in their bowls and large gaps in their bathroom stalls, both under the door and between the door and the walls. Visitors can be taken aback at the lack of privacy. Some hold that they're designed for easy cleaning or construction. Others that it allows one to check which stalls are occupied, although occupancy indicators on the locks can do that too.
Maybe so you can see if there's someone in there.
I'm going to be real here. I don't see this as a huge deal. A lot of people do, and a lot of people don't like, especially going number 2 in public places, all right? I always had, like, if I gotta go, I won't make it nasty. I probably already have. But, like, if some dude, like, that's on them. That's not on me. Why am I defending this? I don't know. Just, okay. Sorry.
Isn't that why we have locks on the doors?
Well, as a backup system, in case a lock is broken, you can see if it's taken.
A backup system?
It might also make it more difficult to get up to no good in there. Whatever the case, public bathrooms in the U.S. are built for speed, not comfort.
Would you just sit down and go to the bathroom already?
Number 17.
What was I gonna say? No. I always try to not pause and let something finish, but then I forget. Oh God, no.
Maybe so you can see.
Oh yeah, as long as the door kind of, swings inward instead of outward, so you can be like, whoa, if maybe the lock is broken or something. But if it can swing open and you have to like get anyways, sorry.
If there's someone in there.
Isn't that why we have locks?
Taken.
Whatever the case, that sell groceries. In most of the world, pharmacies sell exactly what their name
CVS,
implies,
Walgreens.
pharmaceuticals. While you will see tangentially related items like grooming products or hygienic things like toothbrushes, pharmacies don't usually carry food or toys. But in the US, that's much more common. The country is all about the all-in-one experience. Not only will dedicated grocery stores have pharmacies built
Put 'em
in,
at the back.
but pharmacies will also carry groceries. Granted, the selection isn't always great, but if you're desperate for milk and the grocery store is closed or you just don't feel like crossing the street to get there, you can get some. While most of the world still limits drugstores to drugs and self-care products, we have a feeling this one might catch on.
Maybe I'm being too cynical, but I feel like they put the pharmacies in the back so that you have to walk through all of the aisles. Because if someone's getting their drugs, why not maybe catch them in a purchase or something like that? I don't know. Maybe
Number
I'm wrong.
16, vote before they can drink. Worldwide, the age at which a person can legally drink alcohol is most commonly 18, the age usually considered to be adulthood, though it is even earlier in some countries. The voting age on a global scale is also generally 18, for similar reasons, although of course there are exceptions.
The Voting Rights Act of 1970 lowered the voting age to 18 for national elections, and the 26th Amendment made the change to 18 permanent for all elections.
And 18 is where it has stayed for the past 50 years.
However, the United States requires young adults to wait 3 years after being able to vote before legally being allowed to drink at 21.
I think this has the opposite effect. I am with the Europeans on this. I think the logic behind making it 21 makes it worse. Because I think it would be better if drinking was a little more accepted and you were around adults and your family to kind of show you healthy drinking or responsible drinking, than for it to just be this taboo, even though everyone in high school ends up drinking anyway, and college, even if you're under 21, especially college. But I think it provides this mentality attitude that you can just, oh my God, I can do this now, and you go crazy, and then you overdrink, and then bad stuff happens. And you make bad habits with drinking where you just want to, inhale any liquor around you when you have the possibility. So I don't like this one. I think America's wrong here.
This was enacted during the 1980s to prevent alcohol-related driving accidents.
This law has been an abysmal failure. It hasn't reduced or eliminated drinking. It has simply driven it underground, behind closed doors, into the most risky and least manageable of settings.
While it helped in the short term, ultimately it hasn't really stopped teenagers from drinking. The result is that many people, both inside and outside the U.S., question the logic of why an 18-year-old American can decide who forms the government but not get buzzed.
The reality is everyone drinks before they turn 21. That's why when you go out for your first legal drink, you have to react with that faux surprise like you've never heard of alcohol before. Whoa, ooh, what does this alcohol taste like? Oh, it's unusual. Oh, this is true.
Number 15, get free refills. One of the biggest differences between American restaurants and the rest of the world are their drink services. Most American and many Canadian restaurants and other establishments will offer at least one free refill of a non-alcoholic drink.
I feel like this is changing because when I've gone inside of McDonald's or something where there used to be fountain drinks, you wouldn't. And then there's always like maybe since, you know, stuff is becoming more expensive, that they don't want a bunch of people, you know, can I have a water? And they give you a cup for free. And then you just get, oops, I put it on the Sprite by accident. It was right next to the water, even though you have to press a button for the water instead of, but yeah, if you get a Coke or something, you can just refill it. I love that. The Five Guys one, you can like a bunch of selection of sodas, and then you click on the soda, and there's like 8 more flavors there. While I'm waiting for my food, I'll just be like taste testing. All right.
Free! Where is it going?
The idea is that because of the low cost of drinks, particularly fountain soft drinks, offering a refill won't hurt the establishment's bottom line, particularly if drinks are not the primary source of income. However, the idea has been slow to catch on in the rest of the world, and it's nowhere near as consistently offered. Some countries have raised concern that a practice like this can lead to an increase in obesity. Number 14, tip service personnel.
That's a big difference I see in like European, like I remember in middle school, all right? So that this is 6th, 7th, 8th grade. You're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, around those ages. And I remember where they got rid of all of the more unhealthy vending machines and made them into like, you know, vitamin water. And by the way, vitamin water, not exactly healthy as it sounds. But I think that Europe kind of extends that attitude for unhealthy things that adults can buy. And I think America is much more like, if you want to buy it, you know, go ahead type of thing. I don't know which one I exactly agree with. Because on the one hand, at first, it's like, why are you telling me what I can and cannot drink or eat as an adult? But at the same time, I hear these practices like in France, where the government subsidizes a lot of things like fresh vegetables and things, and so I don't want to let I should have the freedom to eat whatever is healthy or unhealthy, and let that get in the way of, well, it's causing a serious obesity problem that can have a strain on a lot of the things that you don't want to pay taxes for. And so I think there's just this immediate American reaction that I'm not free from myself. I'm not saying I'm excluded from this, of like, why are you telling me I can or can't do that? And that supersedes a logical health thing. And that's not good. So I think I explained that okay. Does that make sense?
All right, everybody cough up some green for the little lady. Come on, throw in a buck.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
While the concept of tipping waitstaff or other people in the service industry is known worldwide, few countries have embraced the concept to the degree the U.S. has.
Labor movements declare the practice undemocratic, and anti-tipping legislation was enacted across several states. But restaurants and rail operators like the Pullman Company embraced tipping because it allowed them, among other things, to hire recently freed slaves without having to pay them.
Many workers, particularly in the restaurant industry, rely on gratuities to get by, in part because laws allow managers to pay sub-minimum wages to tipped workers. However, in various other countries, tipping is seen as insulting. They're just doing their jobs after all.
Each year, Americans spend $40 billion on tips. That's more than we spend on foreign aid and more than we spend on gambling. And like gambling, it's not entirely clear that tipping makes any sense in the first place.
I would really like to know, wait, are they going to go into it? The reasoning behind having people get paid less than they should in other jobs because they will receive tips. Why was that introduced at all? Why is it that restaurants, right, are able to pay them less because of well, they can count on the people they serve. I think that tipping should be, someone, like if someone put in extra effort or you saw them being like extremely good in their servicing in one way or another, and it goes to them. But if a lot of places, if not most, I think the tipping kind of gets gathered up and then distributed among the wait staff. And that's just clearly like you don't want, oh my God, you don't want any one of your employees to say not get tipped, and then you only pay them, their extremely low hourly wage. And so an employee is going to want to take advantage of the great service of one or two of their service employees, and then take that and distribute it again for everyone, so they can keep that low hourly wage. And I don't like that. I think that with service jobs, like if there's a waiter or something, they should get a regular salary like other people, and you should be able to individually tip them, and they keep the money because you think they did a superb, like above and beyond job in waiting your table. Or if someone delivering a furniture or something had to carry something really heavy, more than the norm, and they did, and they brought it to you, and then tipping that individual person for doing that extra hard work is fine, and it's good. But I hate how it's just used so that the employee doesn't have to pay as much. I don't like that at all.
While
And
some
that should
countries'
stop.
workers certainly appreciate it, it isn't expected like it is in the U.S., mostly because employees are paid a high enough baseline salary that they don't need tips to survive.
Restaurant owners still pay their servers less than minimum wage, turning what used to be a bribe into an obligation that makes the end of every meal suck.
Number 13, obsess
My last
over
thing
the
on
military.
there, okay? I'm going to do one more thing on the tipping, is that it, like this right here, it's like you're putting the anger of the waitress or waiter who's not getting paid enough on the people ordering, who are already giving you business and paying for food that you're getting. And on top of that, because you're not paying them well enough, you got to feel like, oh, I need to give it to them. They're expecting it, and they might treat me wrong or do something to my food. And that should not be a thing. I
Paid
hate
a
that.
high enough baseline salary that they don't need tips to survive.
Restaurant owners
Sorry, guys.
that makes the end of every meal suck.
The American military
Brother.
is probably the best in the world, as it should be, since it's also one of the best funded militaries in the world. In fact, the U.S. spends several times more on their military than their nearest competitor, China. What's more, there are more than a few American citizens who have a higher than average fascination with their own military and its culture.
I thank you as your commander-in-chief because you inspire me. Your willingness to serve, to step forward at a time of war and say, send me, is the reason the United States stays strong and free.
While other countries certainly appreciate their troops, you don't, see as many people wearing camouflage as a legitimate fashion statement. Likewise, you don't see movies made elsewhere that glorify the military to the degree that the U.S. does.
Do me a favor. Tell my children I love them
Independence
very
Day.
much. All right, you alien assholes. In the words of my generation, up
Part of the American enthusiasm.
I think, like she said, it's important to, respect people who do, get bullets thrown at them but it's like when you're as powerful as the U.S. is and as isolated from major military threats like the U.S. is by the, Pacific and Atlantic, and pretty weak and friendly neighbors to the north and south. It gets to the point that, the separation from the work and of the soldier from your immediate safety does seem to be lost does seem to be really far when you're in the position that the U.S. is in. So of course, military, super important, difficult job for a lot of people. but there's a propaganda aspect to it that is a little weird as you get older and you realize just how much is crammed down you to just, it's one of the things that I, as growing up and in my 20s, realized just how much it gets enforced on you. And it's a little weird,
Is certainly rooted in patriotism. Still, it may also be a reaction to an increasingly anti-military sentiment that has popped up over the last several decades.
No war, okay? No war, okay? Oh, here you go, boys. These will help you protest. It's good to see that you care about peace, boys, okay?
Number 12, use red plastic cups. If you've ever seen an American movie where a college party...
Let me just say this. Like, if it's World War II and you're in Britain or Poland or whatever, and they're going to very easily die, and in the cause to protect you, like, immediately, that's so much different than, like, oh, there's people over here that are laying down their lives to protect American influence over this oil field over here. Like, it's such a disconnect. I know that, and you know what I mean there? I hope I'm not. I understand protecting American interests is what they do, but it's just it's pushed down our throats in a way that, like, we are going to die if this person doesn't put down this insurgent group on the other side of the world. It's a little weird, Please give me your comments on that.
Party happens, chances are you've seen characters drinking from red cups. These red plastic or solo cups are everywhere in the U.S. The cheap drinking containers are a favorite at parties, both for their durability and their ease of use in party games. While they're also handy for crafts or gardening, they're most famous for their intended purpose. However, the rest of the world either doesn't have the United States party culture's emphasis on kegs or lacks the same distinctive cups, originally manufactured by the Solo Cup Company. At most, you might see them at a novelty American-themed party. Number 11.
That one's strange. I never really thought about it. I was just, they're probably popular and like, oh, you're throwing a party, and oh, the classic red sups, solo cups, get them. But I also think it probably just started because they were cheap, easy to buy in bulk. They're probably the main ones you'd see if you go to Walmart or something. And that's what it was born out of.
Wear shoes inside. Taking off your shoes before you enter a home, or at least in the entryway, is pretty common etiquette in many countries.
Don't do that.
Who does this?
Why'd you take your shoes off? So I don't break your nose.
And while many Americans do prefer to keep footwear off their floors, it isn't a hard and fast rule like it is in other places. Often it will depend on whether the person has carpeted floors or hardwood floors, with the latter considered easier to clean. Since it's not considered the norm, though, asking guests to take off their shoes indoors can come across as rude or fussy, and so is often avoided. Number 10, eat peanut.
So, again, the hardwood floors, and if you have, cleaning and stuff like that, but if you're going to someone else's house and you either know that they prefer no shoes in there, or you just don't know, to get upset about, like, oh, I can't come in here, that's an entitlement problem. All right.
Peanut butter as their go-to spread. Peanuts are grown
Delicious.
and eaten in many parts of the world, but it's the United States and Canada that do most of the peanut butter eating.
Peanut butter man now, is there?
Yes, I believe I am. I thoroughly enjoy this peanut butter.
A lot of countries see it as a niche or even unpleasant taste. Others have a spread that is more culturally ingrained, like Nutella. The USA cannot get enough of peanut butter, though, consuming over 1 billion pounds of it annually. January 24th is even National Peanut Butter Day. It's a cheap source of protein that most Americans...
Why do we need... pet peeve. Why do we need a day for everything? Like, National Pumpkin Day. That's weird. I guess it's Halloween. But aren't we getting to the point where we have more than 365, like, this day? And what is the point? All right, why is there a National Peanut Butter Day? I don't get it.
American children grow up eating, so it's no wonder that it's a comfort food for many of them. Number
And
9.
who decides it at this point? I'm getting too upset. It's not just peanut butter day. It's just whatever day that just seems like such a random thing.
Work too much. Americans are workaholics, at least compared to basically every other country in the world. The majority of Americans work more than 40 hours a week.
Why do we do this to ourselves? Well, the conventional answer is that this attitude towards work
Go
makes
fall
the American
behind, I guess?
economy the envy of the world. America is a hectic, turbocharged system that builds, destroys, rebuilds, all at warp speed.
They also tend to lack many of the things the rest of the world takes for granted.
I think that, oh my God, I phrase it so well in my mind. I think that a lot of the United States attitude is like to compare yourself to other people, whereas places like France or Spain and Italy are more like, this is what is a healthy lifestyle. You don't need to be a millionaire to enjoy it, but like there should be these basic things that you should enjoy. And if I'm not enjoying those basic things, then the work needs to F off or something. And I think America is more like, I need to get ahead of him. I need to look better than this person or have more money than this person. And so it's this self-imposing attitude of just one-upping the other person. Whereas I think that's not as much of a thing, and especially like Romance language countries for some reason.
Like paid holidays, as well as sick and parental leave. Research has shown that happier, less stressed workers do better at their jobs. Iceland even recently tried a 4-day work week that proved wildly successful.
There's lots of other benefits to a 4-day working week. It's not just the it's not just the mental health and economy, good for the economy. It's also environmental benefits too. Evidence looks like when we're commuting less as a result of a 4-day week, that brings down emissions. Also, energy consumption goes down. So this is a policy that's win-win for the environment, for workers, for employers. What's not to like about it?
Several European countries take long breaks for lunch. While the American drive is admirable, grind culture becomes problematic when it costs workers their mental health and well-being. Number 8, make small talk with strangers. Americans are known.
Yeah, I think it's the main unhealthy thing about it is that it's for no greater purpose than I think to just get more money than the other person. And I don't think that attitude is as prevalent. Maybe it has to do with, like, there's less cultural, I don't know.
And well-being. Number 8, make small talk with strangers. Americans are known for their friendliness towards strangers, especially outside of big cities. It's not uncommon for Americans to smile at each other in passing, but their comfort with new people also extends to small talk, saying hello or even striking up a conversation out of the blue.
If you are seated in an emergency exit row, and feel you would be unable or unwilling to perform the duties listed on the safety card, please ask a flight attendant to reseat you.
In many countries, speaking to strangers unprompted can be seen as intrusive or even risky. Many Americans are masters of the art, though, often happy to chat with people they've never met about the weather, sports, or whatever else comes up in conversation.
It looks like a carrot, honey.
It looks like a carrot.
Hi.
Number 7, casually own guns. In many countries, gun laws are strict and gun ownership is relatively rare. In the U.S., gun ownership is protected by the Second Amendment, and gun ownership is the highest in the world.
This is probably the most un-American thing about me. I've never held a real gun in my life. I would like to try it at a shooting range, but I mean, it's not like this, oh, I gotta go. If I was given the opportunity, I'd probably do it, but I'm just not a big gun person, or not a big car person
Despite
either.
making up 4% of the global population,
That's
Americans
random,
own 46% of civilian-held firearms. There's a distinct gun culture, the highest in the world. Despite making up 4% of the global population, Americans own 46% of civilian-held.
I've never heard that stat. That is insane.
Firearms. There's a distinct gun culture where almost
50% of personally owned firearms are in the U.S.
Ownership is celebrated or at least seen as important for personal safety. Most states even allow you to open carry.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting.
Wow.
Of course, the issue is extremely divisive due to the country's high rate of gun deaths. Either way, the idea of having so many guns around is a novel one for many visitors.
Guns. Lots of guns.
Number 6, put sales tax on.
I'm taken aback in public if I see someone with an open carry firearm. That's not a cop, obviously. And so it's much more common in other places. And I think if you're openly carrying it, it's kind of like, is that really protecting you if someone like sees it right there? Isn't that more like you just want to do it and show it off? And so, depending on where you are in the country, it's going to be a bit more rare.
On everything.
Sales tax is paid when you buy something, and the business you purchased your goods from sends that money to the government. There are 2 types of sales tax: general sales tax and excise taxes. General sales tax is a tax levied on most goods you buy. Excise taxes are taxes levied only on certain items.
Most countries enact a value-added tax, or VAT, on goods or services purchased within their borders. These taxes are collected from every person in the supply chain, from the distributors to the consumers. The United States is one of the few to use sales tax, which not only vary wildly from state to state, but are only enacted after a purchase has been made.
The state treasury depends on sales taxes to pay for road repairs, education, and medical care for children, seniors, and the poor.
They're also not listed in the initial price, which can leave foreign visitors and many Americans scratching their head as to why they're being charged more than the price on the product.
The $5 footlong from Subway, I hate how misleading it, because it, not just that like most Americans know there's going to be plus tax, but that the commercial was like, you have one of these, you can get one of these, like a $5 bill in one hand and a footlong sub. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going over there. I have one of these. Can I have one of those? Well, it's going to be like $6.50. Well, what the hell? Why did you tell me that?
Better or worse? You decide. It's certainly more confusing.
What's the advice then? If you're going to buy a big ticket item, where's the cheapest sales tax?
Well, you can go online and look at all the sales tax rates for different cities. And if you look at one dealership or one, Best Buy or something like that, you can find the different zip codes and look at the sales tax rates and just see how much that'll little take off, and then take your family out for a nice night.
There you go.
Number 5, recite a Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, this is... Should I do it? Ready for my North Korea moment? I put this in Discord, I think. But this is one of the things that I'm talking about with the sort of indoctrination. I didn't realize how kind of weird this is until recently. Ready? I'll see if I remember it. I haven't said this since I was in high school, all right? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I can't believe I just did that. North Korea moment, all right? It's a little...
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
It was a fact that I wouldn't have had a big problem with it. What is she doing? Oh, it's sign language? With, if it was every once in a while, but the fact that every day at school, when you go to homeroom, before you start your classes, every single day, it's, all right, stand up for your Pledge of Allegiance. And just every day, it's like, are you an American? Are you an American? Are you an American? It's like, I've done this thousands of times, literally thousands of times.
In many parts of the United States, school children and adults in some settings
I need to know.
Are expected to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I need to know, do any of you guys have this, where you were in school at the beginning of every day or every day, whenever in the day, you had to cite something like this? Anyone?
But back then in 1892, when it was written by Francis Bellamy, Bellamy was a Baptist minister, and in conjunction with a magazine called The Youth's Companion, he wrote this, at that time, 23-word Pledge of Allegiance.
This is an expression that they will be loyal to the USA and is usually performed daily while looking at the nation's flag, which you will find hanging everywhere, by the way. This isn't something other countries do. They might salute or respect their flag and country, but to make school children recite an oath to the country,
it's weird.
The pledge has been the subject of plenty of controversy within the U.S. too, particularly since it mentions God. While some schools no longer require it, it remains a widespread practice.
Bottom line is, we all look different, sound different, but we are all on the same team.
Number 4, watch ads for prescription drugs. Aside from New Zealand, the United States is the only country in the world that advertises prescription drugs directly to consumers. Every day, Americans are bombarded with
Because of the private market, right? I'm assuming.
ads for prescription medications, featuring generic, pleasing imagery and a list of side effects longer than a flagpole.
Side effects may include upper respiratory infection, stuffy or runny nose, and sore throat and headache.
Many people,
It's so weird. It's like a flu medication, or I don't know, whatever it is. And it's like, oh wow, and at the end it's like, could cause cancer, or like could kill you, or you could have a sudden heart attack, or something like that. It's crazy. It's like, why would I want to buy that? And they say it's super fast.
Included are baffled by the practice, as doctors and not patients are meant to decide what drugs to prescribe. Proponents claim that advertising increases competition and lowers drug costs. Meanwhile, prescription drugs are typically far more expensive in the United States, as the U.S. doesn't regulate or negotiate drug prices. Number 3, put months before days. Most of humanity marks
Gotta
calendar
agree with you
dates
guys
as
on
being
this one,
day
too.
first, then month, then year.
Makes sense.
Assuming the first 2 numbers are some big old space date, then you've got year, month, day. It's the other way around like it is in America.
Or else the opposite, as year, month, then day. The reasoning is that you can go from the shortest value to the longest, or vice versa.
Yeah, why
Yet
did
the
we do
United
month
States
first?
and parts of Canada eschew both these formats by putting the month first, then day, then year. The U.S.
Don't
has
know
been
why.
using this format basically since its founding, although it has used the day first format interchangeably too. The exact reason why is debatable, but as far as practicality goes, it can be useful when filling out forms to know which month it is before which day or year. Number 2, go bankrupt from healthcare. Medical costs are the cause of over 60% of all bankruptcies in the United States.
In 2017,
That's so sad.
1/3 of the money raised on GoFundMe went towards medical campaigns. And the site raises $650 million a year for more than 250,000 medical campaigns.
Americans experience a variety of unexpected charges while getting much needed care, from surprise bills to being charged for riding in an ambulance.
According to one study, 71% of all ambulance providers do not take the patient's insurance. That same study found that 79% of patients who took an ambulance could get a surprise bill, with an average total around $450.
In some parts of the civilized world, even seeing a medical bill can be an uncommon occurrence. Healthcare worldwide tends to be much more regulated than it is in the U.S. It's either funded through taxes in a single-payer system, or else through individual insurers who are more strictly monitored.
Other countries, they don't have this problem. Instead of every private insurance company negotiating with every healthcare provider, there's just this big list. Country, the central government, they go and they say, if you want to sell to us, to all of our people, then here's what you can charge for a checkup.
One of the worst parts that I think about when I think about this is that it prevents people from seeking preventative care, so that the first time they realize they have some illness or issue that needs serious help, or it's going to have bad consequences, possibly death, that could have been found out years ago, or much prior to that visit, and had a more cheap answer to it. But because people are so afraid to even see a doctor, or just like take an ambulance, the amount of death that must cause just out of fear of any possible payments is horrifying. And that's where my mind kind of goes to first when I think of how awful it is just, the amount of people that if they just weren't afraid of a bill and could have found out what was wrong with them at a point that could have saved them, but they didn't because of healthcare costs or potential healthcare costs. Even if the cost wasn't actually that bad, if they did it, they might just not realize it's not going to be that bad and then not go. So that's...
Here's what you can charge for an MRI or a prescription for Lipitor.
Bottom line, while there can sometimes be extra charges, for most of the world, medical debt is basically unheard of, except in horror stories about the U.S.
Can't get a credit card. I can't buy a house. I don't see me ever being out of debt.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, use the imperial measurement system.
Can you explain to me?
Yes.
How the country that can send men and hopefully women to the moon,
and beyond,
still are in gallons and inches. And when the entire world is metric, I do not understand this.
There are 3 countries in the world that don't use the metric system: Myanmar, Liberia, and the United States.
It just makes sense. Having easily, divisible numbers and like logical steps, and like a meter to kilometer to kilometer. What is a kilometer? Or, it's in tens or hundreds. It makes sense. But I'm so used to, feet, yards, inches that I guess I kind of like it. But I'm sure if I started in the, with meters, centimeters, whatnot, I would much prefer it because it just makes more sense.
Objectively, metric is the less arbitrary measurement system since everything goes by tens. Even Britain and Commonwealth countries have converted.
The point is, the US system has always been a little more accessible than metric. Sure, stacking up 12 thumb widths to make a foot, that's still kind of weird, but it's not so weird that we're clamoring to change it.
Although admittedly, they do still use measurements like feet and inches casually.
So now I can't ask a distance when I visit another country. I'm like, how far is that? They're like, that's 500 kilometers. I'm not in the Olympics.
So why hasn't the US converted? We'll give you one guess. Did you say it's because of money? Because money is definitely a big factor. Converting to a whole new system of measurement is expensive. Other factors include a need for control and stability of the US.
I guess if I'm going to come up with a defense, it would be, you would have to cause some kind of disruption, and because it's the measurement that's used for, trade throughout the U.S. and whatnot. And you can't really, incrementally change that because that'll mess up a lot of things, and I'm sure a lot of businesses will get confused and whatnot. That's the best defense I have.
So, inertia, basically. Why change when you don't need to? And you know what your mom says. If all the other countries jumped off a bridge, would the U.S. do it too? Or something like that.
Hey, Liberia.
A 2015 Rasmussen poll asked Americans if we should switch to the metric system and adopt Celsius as our main temperature scale. 64% said no, while 21% said yes.
The only reason I would say yes, but the only hesitation is that of familiarity and sort of like nostalgia almost. It's just like a no, I don't want to do it. Like that's the reasoning. It's because there's no sensical reason.
And the remaining 15% was undecided. So it looks like we're perfectly fine with being different.
Did you enjoy this video?
15% was like,
check out
what's
these other
that?
clips from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified.
Great video. Interesting. Sorry if I paused too much. Would appreciate any comments down below, any answers to my question, any comments at all. You guys are always awesome in the comment section. And hopefully I'll see you guys next video. Bye, guys.